Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Kim Knowles, and I run the Architects in Schools program for the Architecture Foundation of Oregon. And here with me also are Sam Majors and Candace Agahan. Architects in Schools, or AIS, is run through AFO, as most of you know. It has been around for over 50 years and is a statewide program. AFO is a nonprofit based in Portland, but we serve all of the state of Oregon. One of the goals of AFO is to make design accessible to all Oregonians. We believe that everyone should have a voice in the designing and building of our world. And AFO isn't just for architects. We work with everyone in the AEC industry, anyone who impacts the built and natural environments. We work with engineers, contractors, urban designers, landscape architects, and of course, the general public. AIS is our largest and longest standing program. During the school year, elementary school and middle school students get to work with design and building professionals, usually for a period of 6 weeks. Some of you will do less, which is fine, and you can choose what works best for you and the schedule that works best for you and the team that you work with. We work to make sure that all programming aligns with what you and the teacher need. So there are a variety of participation options that involve less time or can accommodate a team of design and building professionals that want to work together and share sessions and share the time. During the sessions, students learn design concepts that align with existing classroom curricula, often based on our curriculum guide materials, which we have many resources available and we help guide you through. AIS is a collaboration between the design and building professionals, teachers, and AFO education staff. And we are here to help you all along the way and want to make sure that we're communicating with you and the teacher you're working with. We try to make it as easy as possible. And next slide. In AIS, students learn real-life skills, application of subjects they're learning in school, career awareness, and environmental understanding. We're not about creating many architects, although sometimes that happens, or many engineers, or many contractors. But we're trying to help children understand that design is all around them, that everything from the tools they use in their classroom to their entire communities have been designed and designed by people, and they can think that way too. It's about connecting what they learn in school to their daily lives and helping them realize that they have the ability to be creative and think about what is best for people in their communities too, now and into the future. How it works. Once you sign up, we will ask you to attend a program orientation to prepare you for your residency and make sure you're comfortable going into the classroom. Architects in Schools is primarily designed for 3rd through 5th graders, but we do work with younger grades and some middle school classes as well. We also have a trauma-informed social emotional workshop that will most likely happen in January of 2025 that we'll ask you to attend, and that also will prepare you to be working with students that come from different backgrounds and experiences of your own. After you attend the program orientation, however, we partner you with a teacher, and we help you plan your residency with your team. Usually residencies take place between the months of February and the end of April. Like I said, most residencies are about 6 weeks in length, but you can have a shorter residency if that works better for you. There are many choices that you can sign up for when you sign up to participate. Typically, for each week that a session is scheduled according to what works in your schedule and the classroom schedule, there will be a 1 hour-ish session, and that depends on what works best for you and the classroom schedule. The cool part is that you work with the teacher partner and any other design and building professionals you're working with to create your own schedule that works for everyone. After completing your residency, you have the opportunity to display student work at an AFO-sponsored exhibit. We have locations for in-person exhibits around the state. We also have the opportunity to participate in a virtual exhibit. Sometimes schools also have their own exhibits, and that works best for families, and that is great too. It's a great opportunity for students to have a culminating experience to show off their work to friends and family. I'm going to hand it off to Sam Majors, who's also on our ed staff. Sam?
Thanks, Kim. Hi, everybody. So our residency formats, essentially, really the program can take shape in many different ways. And it's definitely not limited to these examples, but these are just some of the ones we list here so you could get a good idea. I would say our most popular format is a 6-week, 6-session residency where the design and building professional will visit the classroom for about 1 hour per week. This is generally our most popular. Another version of what a residency could look like could even be a 2-day workshop, maybe where the design and building professional visits the classroom over a couple hours for maybe 2 consecutive days. Or it could be an hour-long career presentation done by a design professional with a classroom that's focused maybe in the AEC field. You could do a shorter residency that's more, 3 weeks, 3 sessions. And then that could also happen virtually while, the students are together in the classroom, but you're online. Another example could be a 4-week, 4-session residency where everyone is virtual, including the students. And there's lots of other ways. Essentially, we're trying to find ways to make this accessible for students across the state. And depending on the school and your schedule, even if it's a short period of time, we'd rather get folks into the classroom and inspiring students in even short periods if we can't make a 6-week work. And if there's another way that you think of that is not listed here, we're happy to explore that. And essentially, we're prepared as AFO to support each classroom's individual needs. And we can kind of really work together to adapt the program to fit any class schedule, whether it's in-person, hybrid, or virtual. For AFO and architects and schools, we're really focused on really building an inclusive curriculum. The architecture, engineering, and contracting fields should be a space where everyone can see themselves. And that's our goal of what we do with architects in schools. So we've been focusing on the expansion of architects in schools to more Title I and rural and underserved communities. And so we're really trying to expand our reach to make sure that all students are getting the same quality and exposure to this program and to design and building professionals. This includes inclusivity of all genders, backgrounds, cultures, identities, capabilities. We really ask our volunteers to celebrate the diversity in your residencies, and we as AFO staff can definitely help you with that. We also are able to connect you all as our volunteers with resources that go beyond a Eurocentric architecture examples and really help to show a diverse set of designers. As you know, interest in STEAM-related fields really drops off for girls and students of color while they're still young, and participating in this program is an opportunity to reinforce that all students are creative and that they can all design and be successful in these topics. We're always looking for finding any way to connect design to students' identities, and lived experiences will help them build that confidence. Essentially, we want it for them to be able to look, at you all in the classroom or into these fields and see themselves as someone that belongs there. Our trauma and social emotional learning workshops with usually Dr. Renee Mitchell will also help you build those tools for building an inclusive curriculum when you pair up with your classroom. We do ask all volunteers to attend these workshops and also just, put an effort towards this ongoing learning. Teachers are also welcome to join these workshops as well. And essentially, this is all just here to prepare you for working with students of all backgrounds and how to really learn how to center and celebrate their experience with this program. I'm going to pass it off to Candace Aghan.
All right, thank you, Sam. Hi, everyone. So we like to just show a bunch of project examples because we give you a lot of information. We sort of show you how the program works, but it's not really easy to visualize without sort of seeing some of the amazing projects that students and design professionals and teachers come together to create during these residencies. So I'll just show a few of them to you today. So what you are seeing here is a city of the future, and this is aligned with one of our really popular curriculum guide lessons called What Will Cities Look Like 25 Years From Now? And for this specific classroom, they worked in small groups of just 1 to 2 students and created their own city block. So you can kind of see that each of these squares are separate, so they could work on their small city block together and then bring them all together in the end to create a city of the future. And really, when we show you these project examples, there's truly no right or wrong, and even lessons or residencies that use the same lesson can take on all different shapes and sizes. So there's really no limit to what you can do. And in the next slide, you'll see actually another classroom's rendition of the same lesson, What Will Cities Look Like 25 Years From Now? And for this classroom, they worked in larger groups, probably 3 to 5 students, to create each section of the city and create a much larger city. And a lot of the time, certain classrooms will add in integrating sustainable architecture elements, asking students to incorporate some sort of sustainable design feature into their designs. Through this lesson, students really are encouraged to think about how we can design cities to better support all the people living in it, and how they can work better with the natural environment, and really how they would like to envision the city that they will live in 25 years from now when they're adults and navigating the world as an adult. So the next slide, you'll see another rendition of this project. And we really like to show this project because it shows the 2-dimensional aspect. So this classroom also designed future city maps and site plans, and they're always so fun. And they went through the process of really sketching and drawing out their ideas before picking one skyscraper in their city to build in groups of 4. And then this classroom also took their skyscrapers and actually load tested them against wind forces, earthquake forces, snow load, and so on. Tested them until they failed, failed under pressure, not actually failed. They're all great. But really, this project is cool because it highlights the 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional explorations of the design process, which is something that we encourage everyone to do in their residencies. And then this next slide shows another really popular residency, which is Bridges. And one of the reasons Bridges are so popular is because it also meets 3rd grade engineering standards. So it's really awesome because we can bring in these architects in schools lessons that also integrate with existing classroom curriculum and the curriculum that teachers are already required to do. And so we actually offer a lesson in our curriculum guide that's focused on Bridges, which is what a lot of these partnerships will take and kind of adapt for their own classroom. And in that lesson, it goes through how the structure of bridges works. So talking about tension and compression, and then different types of bridges, and then also how to design and build your own bridge. And just like the skyscrapers that we showed on the last slide, a lot of classrooms will actually load test their bridges and see how much load each can take before cracking under that pressure. And then this next slide is another bridge example. But as you can see, the same lesson really can be so diverse across classrooms, which is really, really cool. And this specific classroom, I believe the design professional and teacher gave students specific design criteria that was to integrate sustainable design features. So a lot of these bridges were pedestrian bridges or cycling bridges or bridges for animals, and include a lot of green features, which is really awesome. And then the next slide. So another really popular final project focus is on one of our curriculum guide lessons called A Special Structure for a Special Client. And through this lesson and this residency focus, students take on the role of an architect and a builder to create a space for a special client, which is always an animal. And for an example, they're always kind of fun to read, so you can kind of visualize what their prompts are. But one of the prompts is a giraffe who cannot climb stairs, but they like natural light and views at multiple levels. And that's what the prompt was for the student who has this project on the right. So the taller one, you can sort of see the little giraffe in there. But it really gives students specific design criteria to design or to guide their whole design process. And they really have the opportunity to work through that full design process of brainstorming for their client, planning out this space for them, really thinking through what are the spaces that my client will need and how do I meet their needs through design? And then they get to draw their site plan and then build a final model. And this is also, we also like showing this example because it's very easy to use recycled materials for this final project. So there's a lot of just recycled boxes, shoe boxes, things like that. So we just like to reiterate that these projects don't need to cost a lot of money. You don't need to go out and buy a ton of materials to make this possible. You can just ask students and their families to sort of gather some recycled materials from their homes and bring them in to make it possible. And then this next project is a really good example of taking on a more historical focus for a residency. So they're not always focused on science and math. They can also be focused on social studies and writing. Really across the board can cover a lot of topics. But this specific classroom, they learned about the history of Vanport and reimagined what the space could be today. And we do have a curriculum guide lesson that focuses on the history of Vanport and really why it's important to prioritize equity and inclusion when we design spaces. So introducing students to concepts like this. And then the next one, so this one is a much larger scale than what we normally see for Architects in Schools projects, but we like to show it because it really just shows that there's no limit. Something like this does take extra effort from the design professional and teacher to make happen, but really there's no limit to what you can do, and it doesn't need to even be a building or a bridge. It can be something like a photo booth because that still takes students through the design process and they still collaborate and work together to create something. And then the next slide is kind of on the other end, so a smaller scale. So it doesn't even need to be 3-dimensional. It can be 2-dimensional. Drawings and collages are also a really, really great route to go, especially if you're doing a shorter residency. And smaller scales can still provide really meaningful opportunities for students to explore the design process. So this specific classroom focused on architectural history and different housing styles. And yeah, so I think this is the last project example we have for you. But these are just a glimpse of what participants have done in the past. We have a really wide range of projects and residency focuses, and our curriculum guide lessons will help outline that for you and give you ideas on what route you want to go. And then we also have our virtual exhibits that we have put together over the past several years. I think we might have 5 years of virtual exhibits now, maybe 4. 4, is that right? Something like that. But if you want to explore 5, thank you. But if you want to explore more project examples, that's a great place to do it. And we have all of those links on our application information webpage, which we'll put in the chat in just a moment. And then, yes, and this slide is really just to reiterate and remind you all that Architects in Schools is a collaboration between you, the professional, the teacher, and us, and that we, AFO staff, me, Kim, and Sam, are always here to help you every single step of the way, from the orientation to planning your residency to executing your residency and exhibiting if that's what your team decides to do. And we have weekly office hours just every Wednesday from 4 to 5 p.m. where you can hop in, ask a question, or not a quick question, however detailed of a question you need to ask. And if that timing doesn't work for you, we're always available through Zoom calls, and we have a Calendly link that you can find on our portal for participants and just schedule a quick Zoom meeting with us. So we're very accessible, and we really want to help you throughout this entire process and make it as seamless and rewarding as it can be for you and the teacher and the student. So please lean on us because we want to help you through the process. And then I'll hand it back to Kim.
Thanks, Candace. Everything we talked about today can be found at this link, including the link to sign up for the program. We're asking that everyone work to sign up by October 20th. But the sooner the better. The sooner we get your application in, the easier it is for us to make sure that schools actually are served. And we'll be sure to send you all the link after our session today as well. Another perk of volunteering for AIS is that you receive a complimentary membership to AFO, which includes free and discounted tickets to our many events and an invitation to join the wider AFO community. We're going to open it up to any questions that you all have. One thing I want to add to that I'm not sure we said is in terms of supplies for the projects, we also have a supply fund. So any classrooms that need extra funds to make sure all students have equal access to materials, you can sign up for that as well. Any questions that anyone has? I'm looking in the chat. Does the guide recommend how much time you should allot? Yes. Every lesson in our guide has an approximate time that it will take to present that lesson. Also, all the teachers that you'll work with will have a really good sense of what their class is capable of. And so once you start meeting with the teacher, they'll be able to tell you kind of where their class is at in terms of skill level with motor skills and understanding the concepts. And the two of you can work on the timing. Let's see. Do students
Also,
oh, go ahead.
I was just going to share to add on to the kind of how much time does something take to prepare for your residency. We do also have on our participant portal, we have pre-planned residencies. And so if you are someone that knows that maybe you don't have a lot of time to adapt or create, a very one-of-a-kind opportunity for a classroom or a residency, we do have some pre-planned residencies that you can say, hey, I'm happy to run through those. And that would probably cut down on the time of preparation as well.
Yes, that's true. Thanks, Sam. And we also have pre-recorded lessons. If you wanted to use a video that we've already prepared, you could add that in and that would save some time as well. Do students ever access computers for these projects? Yes, it depends on what is available at the school, but we have had classes where students have access to iPads or computers and have done SketchUp projects, for instance, and that sort of thing. So once you're paired with the teacher, you can talk about what's possible in terms of technology. How long does the training take? The training, we have 2 trainings that we have scheduled that you can interact with us in real time. They are virtual. And they are both in November. You can choose which one works best for you. We highly recommend that you attend one of those. And those are an hour and a half with an optional half hour at the end if you have specific questions you want to check in with AFO staff on already. So pretty much just an hour and a half of training and then the planning. And you can access us if you have further questions. And if you don't know the day of the training, it's fine. Like Candace said, you can schedule a meeting with us or attend an office hour. And let's see, how do you pair professionals to a school? That's a great question. When teachers sign up, a lot of them choose what type of design professional they think would help them meet the standards they need to address in their classroom. And we also look at design professionals' availability and where they're located and what their transportation is like. So for instance, we ask if you're able to drive to a school and where you're willing to go. So we look at all of these things as we're pairing design professionals to teachers to make sure that it works for both parties. Is this program available to any school in Oregon? Yes, any school in Oregon can participate in Architects in Schools. Like we've said, the program is geared towards 3rd through 5th grade. So pretty much elementary school. We had children participate as young as kindergarten last year. We've had some middle school math, science, and art classes participate. So that's kind of the age range, but other than the target age range, any school in Oregon we welcome to participate. What regions or locations in Oregon do we serve? Thanks, John. We serve every location that we can. We need to be able to pair a design and building professional with that school. So there are rural areas that are harder to serve. If you are available working on a project in a rural area or are able to go to a rural area, that helps us immensely. We primarily are able to serve, of course, the Portland metro area, so the Tri-County area, all the way down the Willamette Valley. We have several schools in Southern Oregon in need, Central Oregon, and we have served schools in Eastern Oregon as well, and the Oregon coast. All right. Any other questions? I don't see any hands up. Sam and Candace, do you see any?
Another question just came into the chat. I see that there are often teams of professionals for a school. Are those teams established through AFO? Yes and no. So we definitely have design professionals who sign up as a team, which is always an option. And especially like as you're coming into AIS for your first year, if you think you'll be more comfortable working on a team with another colleague of yours or somebody you know, we definitely encourage you to sign up with another person. We're always okay with that. And then, so yeah, sometimes we'll have several folks from one firm sign up as a team, and then we'll put you all at a specific school to serve however many classrooms you're willing to serve. So yeah, it really depends, but depending on the amount of classrooms that sign up at a school as well, you'll often get put into a team, whether or not you signed up to participate with another professional in the classroom. I'm not explaining this well. So just say there are two separate classrooms that sign up at a school. We'll typically ask two separate design professionals to serve each of those classrooms. But if it's in the same grade and those two teachers want to focus on the same sort of residency, sometimes you'll come together as a group of 4 to design that residency and then separate again as you actually complete the residency and work in each of your separate classrooms. So it really depends on the scenario. Sometimes there's one classroom at a school that will sign up, but sometimes there will be 4. And so you'll have a larger team. But it's something that you can specify on your application form.
There is a question on the application form that asks if you're willing to work with more than one classroom. So you can say no if you're not. And we'll make sure to honor that. Also, if you know a colleague that you would like to work with and you know they're going to sign up, there is a field on the form where you can put their name, so we make sure that we pair you.
And Ryan and John, I'm going to put you two on the spot since we have 2 very long-term volunteers on the call. So if you have any questions specifically for professionals who have been participating in the program, they both would be really great at answering those and sort of what approach they took. So ask them some questions.
Questions, right, John? If there's like a highlight or something you think that is a really good hook into why Jackson Schools is so beneficial or positive, you're welcome to share those too.
I will just share a personal kind of like thought and observation on Architects in Schools. As noted in my introduction, I've been doing this for about 15 years. I did lose track at some point of how long I've been doing this. But not only am I biased because of how long I've been doing this, but this is truly one of the most impactful and joyful things that I do throughout the year. Sometimes my energy is quite low going into the residency, and the kids' just enthusiasm and energy oftentimes actually inspire me and motivate me, and I come out just like more energized and feeling kind of this sense of creativity that sometimes gets lost in the day-to-day work. So highly encourage people to volunteer. Also, if you know anybody who's just possibly thinking about it, please help recruit those people as well. So a little bit of a plug, but yeah, it's well worth the time and energy that you put in, and feel like you'll get way more out of it than you give as well.
Yeah, I would say, I echo everything Ryan has said. But the kids, the students really respond to someone coming into their class that's not a teacher. They kind of recognize that you're giving your time. So there's another adult coming into this class, and they really respond positively to that. You're sharing some of your experience with them. You don't have to have any sort of teaching experience. As Kim has said, we're not trying to make little architects or contractors out of these students. In fact, some of the most impactful things that happen is that you see some of these children who maybe don't pick up things like other kids do, like they're not very good at writing or they have trouble paying attention, but they latch on to making a model and they really excel at that. Or some of the engineering components, they really sort of immediately understand some of the geometry and kind of the way things work. And so different kids find their avenues for excellence all throughout this program. And I think that's something that many of us in the architecture, engineering, construction profession can relate to as adults as well, right? We're all not designers or managers or constructors, or good with our hands or whatever. So, it really gives the children a lot of different avenues to excel. And one of the things I think they get out of it that many of us are used to is, your first time doing something oftentimes isn't the best you've done, right? All of us that design buildings or have worked on buildings, understand that you get a design problem, you kind of come up with a solution, you test it out, you look for places that it doesn't work so well and you improve on that. And the children actually pick up on that, is that you see them respond to this idea that they're not going to quit. They don't have to quit just because they're not good at something the first time around. They can improve on it, they can learn from it, they can keep trying. A lot of times we will break, their towers will fail, their bridges will break, and we'll talk about what could you do next time to make it better. So they really respond to that and see that in themselves. And so you see a lot of the children, their growth or the way they think about themselves changes, partially because of this program. It's not all due to this program, but this idea that they can improve upon themselves and they can learn and they can try it again and get better is really impactful.
Thank you, John. That's one of the things about Architects in Schools that it focuses on the design process. Yes, students are creating a final project with during their time with the design and building professional, but it's really focusing on that this is a process that they can work through, and it's called growth mindset. It's what John was talking about, and that they can get better as they work on it. And that is really important and creates a big impact in how they approach school going forward. We have one more question. Are there typically enough volunteers to serve all of the schools who request to work with you? We work really hard to try to serve every classroom that a teacher has signed up for. It's one of the main reasons why we need all of you to sign up. We really want to make sure we're serving all of the students that have teachers that want to bring this to their classroom. Like John and Ryan have said, it's really impactful. A lot of the classrooms that we serve, this is a free program to schools. A lot of classrooms we serve, children do not get this kind of learning. So it's really an important thing. If you're able to do it, we welcome you. So, any other questions?
Yeah, and we are recording today's session and we'll have this link. So if you feel inspired after today and know other design professionals who might also be inspired to sign up, please share the link with them, share the recording with them, and encourage them to sign up.
All right. Well, please, if you think of other questions, contact me or Candace or Sam at any point. We're happy to answer questions. We're happy to help however we can. We hope that you all will participate in Architects in Schools this year. Again, it makes such a big impact on these children's lives, and we really appreciate your time today as well. So thank you all.